Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak. I just got back from Jeep Jam at Myrtle Beach. I don't know if anybody listening was there, but I gave out lots of koozies, and hopefully you're the recipient of a koozie. And if you are, leave us a note and say, "Hey, I got mine from you, from so and so." Um, Kind of one of the points of this podcast is to talk about stuff we heard, right? Things we heard. For me personally, I got to listen to a podcast coming here and back with Donald J. Trump, President Trump, being interviewed by Joe Rogan. Very cool podcast if you ever get a chance to listen to it. Imagine being a person trying to run for office, and everywhere you go, you just want to talk to people, but your only outlet is traditional media, where they have an agenda to sell products on commercial time. And their hope is that they can boil it down to their narrative and be able to tell the American public what they think that their listeners want to hear, or on the extreme opposite, what they don't want to hear. Because there is the thought process of ratings is due to outrage. We've seen that happen in our own media. We've seen parodies of it in television shows. We've seen versions of it where they realize by saying something very outlandish gets people to a point in their brain where they think, "Oh, well, I'm very upset now, and I'm going to tune in because I want to be upset tomorrow because you're going to tell me more things that are going to upset me." And I'm just gonna keep tuning in because that's the thing. People are somehow drawn to things that upset them. We hear about that when we hear about people in toxic relationships or their love of things that hurt them, like alcoholism and drug abuse and maybe Jeeps. I don't know. Like, an argument could be said for that, depending on who you ask. But we're drawn to things that make us a little bit crazy. I don't know why. I don't know if we seek the drama or if it's something that we're just compelled to. Um, Maybe it's the fact that we all grew up going to school and listening about history, and some of our fears is maybe I'm on the wrong side of history and I want to learn as much as I can. I don't want history to repeat itself. If I can avoid something bad from happening, I want to try to avoid it. So you go, okay, well, who's controlling the narrative? Who has the narrative? Is it the media source? Is it the individual? Is it the people themselves? Oftentimes, it's whatever reaches you the most, right? So if you're, let's just say, for instance, a standard media outlet, one of the big channels, okay? And you have the power then to edit things and show things as you think you're doing best, as you're representing the person the best, in your opinion, or the news, in your opinion. But yet, somehow you manipulate the footage of what comes out with different questions and answers so that you're giving lies to people in a way that you're trying to sell a narrative that doesn't exist. I'm wondering at what point do we get fed up enough with traditional media where we no longer consume their product at all? I listened to a 3 hour podcast of our former president who's running for president talk to Joe Rogan, who, let's face it, is a skeptic about everything. He has said more than once that he wants to believe that aliens are real. He wants to believe there's such a thing as Bigfoot. But I mean, there's not a lot of evidence of either one of those things, right? I think he kind of speaks for a lot of us in the fact that we want to believe that there's a politician out there that gives a crap about the American people. We want to believe that there might be someone whose best interest is us. Um, is there? I mean, in reality, I don't know that there is. Maybe there is. Maybe that person is so level headed that they don't get the TV time that we allow them, or the media has spun them in a way that doesn't give them TV time. We live in a very weird age right now where our best journalism is coming from people who aren't journalists, people who are comedians, people who are podcasters, people who are independent seekers of knowledge, people with their own YouTube channels, people with their own TikToks, people trying to find out information and share that information with everybody else. That's kind of what I'm doing too, if I'm honest about it. This podcast stuff I heard. I am always trying to find out information and share it. Sometimes it's about entertainment, sometimes it's about vacations, sometimes it's about crazy beliefs that I have, and I don't know if anybody else does, but it's nice to know that you're not alone. You know, sometimes it's about mental health awareness, sometimes it's about whatever. Um, we all need some type of connection to one another. We need that connection so that we can move forward in life. Otherwise, it just seems like a rudderless ship, right? And we'd like to have a president who gave a crap about us and tried to do the right thing. I think for a long time, we had people who, especially in Congress, get into power and just do nothing. They play the game of, I just want to be right here and not have to do anything else. And this is what I want to do. I think actors do that too. There, you hear about this a lot later on in life where you hear them say things like, yeah, I was awkward as a kid. I didn't know what to say. I just read the lines on the thing. And then you find out that someone that you revered on the screen is actually a really horrible person. We're finding out about that right now with P. Diddy, musician, right? Everybody's like, oh, he's got the cool dance song and I like this song and blah, blah, blah. And then you find out he's a really bad person and you're like, ooh, that's kind of terrifying. And I think when all this stuff, when the smoke clears from all this, we're going to find out there's more and more people that we used to revere as being grand or great in some way. And we're going to realize, hey, they're just people and they're flawed too, just like you and I. The fact that I have a microphone in my spare bedroom that I've converted into a weird Star Wars, I don't know what you want to call this, studio, and I'm able to talk to people is just one of the many steps that's out there, right? People are having conversations on a daily basis with one another about how to get through life and how to stay sane. Yesterday, I sat in the stands and I watched a family cheer on other family members going through a mud pit in a Jeep with the doors off. For those of you who don't know, Myrtle Beach Jeep Jam has two levels of obstacle courses. One's hard, one's easier, and then they have a mud pit. And typically, I go with my buddy Danny. He likes to do the obstacle course on the hard level because it's challenging and it's cool to kind of climb over rocks and see what the machine that you build can do, especially when you build it to do it. Now, he doesn't like to go through the mud because he doesn't like to clean up the mud. I mean, it's just more work for him to do, right? But there's people out there that their thing all year long is I just want to drive through the mud and I want to yell and I want to do it in a way that it cheers on the crowd and makes them happy. And it makes a lot of people happy. I'm in the stands with probably 500 people and everybody's like, "Yeah, go, go." I mean, it's hard not to cheer them on. It's a lot of fun to watch, especially when they show up all clean and stuff like that and they get really dirty. I don't want to be one of those people, nor do I want to have to clean up all that crap if I were one of those people. But for some people, that's their thing. That's the thing that makes them regulated. That's the thing that gives them a little bit of joy in life. And if you're not pursuing your joy, what are you doing? I mean, really. Um, it is nice to know that even for a short period of time, we can all take a deep breath and just enjoy the fact that we're all having a good time and nothing's going wrong. Okay. It may be a morning walk for some people. It may be playing with your dog for some people. It may be seeing your grandkid laugh. It may be having a good meal with your family. It may be getting away from everything and just being in nature. I had a moment the other day where I got to watch the sunrise over the ocean, and I thought, wow, this is really beautiful. I mean, there's not a lot of people that actually get a chance to see this. And I sort of took it in. I just let my brain be quiet for a little while and I took it in and I thought it was amazing. And then later on, I'm in the Jeep with Danny and we're going through an obstacle course and we get lined up and this lady comes up to us and she says, "Hey, I know this is going to sound like a weird ask, but is there any way I could ride with you guys across the obstacles? I've never done it before and I've always wondered what it's like." And I could tell looking at her, she was an older lady. And she even made a comment while we were riding together that she's 72. And her husband's like, "I guess I'll sit over here and watch you." And we're like, "No, no, no, you can hop in too." And she's like, "Come on, ride with us." And so they rode with us. And we ran around the obstacles and in the backseat. All I could hear was them giggling the whole time about how much fun it was. And wow, this is so cool. And I can't believe you guys let us do this. This is great. And, for the most part, the Jeep community is very welcoming and friendly. And I mean, it was kind of a weird risk for her of going, I don't know these people, but maybe they'll take me around. I don't know. We'll see. You know, Danny's got no problem with it. He's like, yeah, sure. If you want to ride, buckle up. So it was a lot of fun for us. It was a lot of fun for them. I think it was more fun for Danny to do it with them in the vehicle because it makes it more exciting. I kind of related it to seeing Disney with your kids or your grandkids and watching their face light up and being like, oh my goodness. It's enjoying the thing all over again from a different perspective, right? I'm sure for him, having me go with him and enjoying it from the passenger seat and film it and us giggle and talk along the way has been really nice for him. Um, but then it was great to have other people in there too, people who we didn't even know. So, it we all have something that we're searching for, right? Some sense of joy, some sense of purpose. Um, and for a little while, we all got that yesterday. Now, I can say that I've been to the Jeep Jam event at Myrtle Beach many times, and the obstacle courses were probably the best they've ever been. I really like the way they designed it this year. In years past, they've struggled with trying to make it challenging, yet not too hard. Sometimes they make it too challenging, and people get stuck a lot, and they constantly have to be pulled off, which makes more work for the volunteers. And they don't want that. I mean, they want everybody to have a good time. They don't want anybody to tear up anything. But part of it is okay. Let's make it challenging enough so people enjoy it. They don't want to make it too easy because if it's too easy, everybody's like, "Man, that was kind of dumb." You said it was a hard course, but it's really not that hard. So you got a little challenge of both, right? And I thought they did a really good job this year of that. On the vendor aspect of it, there wasn't many vendors there. Most of it was like um, flea market kind of stuff. I have in the past seen some pretty cool vendor stuff, especially when you go to Jeep Invasion and Pigeon Forge. This to me was very lacking in anything having to do with equipment or parts or things that people are looking for. And I don't know if that was on purpose or if maybe the vendors have to pick and choose where they're doing things because there's competition now, or maybe the place that they're renting it from. I think Burles and Chapin own that area. Maybe they went up on their rent. Maybe they were like, you can't rent a booth unless it's this much this year. I've heard some things like that happen. And that's very much possible. If you're thinking, okay, we're hitting our markets and in these markets, we actually got some kind of return on our investment, but in this market, maybe we didn't. So we don't do that part next year. We double up and we do this other one. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. All I know is walking around this year, there wasn't much to look at. And there wasn't anything that really caught anybody's eye of the group I was in. Everybody just kind of walked around and saw what they had and was like, okay, well, this is kind of lackluster. Let's go do the course or let's watch people go through the mud. And we did. It is good, though, however, to spend time with friends and hang out. And speaking of hanging out, typically we get down there on Friday nights and we go to the Dave and Buster's to pick up the packets for the next day. And normally there's a crowd out there. This year, not so much. I mean, there was a few Jeeps parked around, but I heard they were getting run off because Myrtle Beach has an ordinance where if you bring chairs and set up chairs in the parking lot, they will give you a ticket. So a lot of people were like, well, I thought the whole point of us hanging out was to be able to hang out, and now we can't put chairs out. So a lot of people were leaving. I did overhear somebody say that the person who runs the Paula Deen restaurant, runs a few other restaurants around there, told the local PD that they're ruining their business, that they're just running off people right and left, and it's making it awful. And the people make comments that we're not coming back next year just because this is ridiculous. I mean, I thought the whole point of us being able to pick up packets and be part of this celebration, this Jeep Jam, was this community. And part of the community is hanging out with each other. I mean, I could see it if people were doing something that was illegal or something dangerous, but is it dangerous sitting in a chair next to your Jeep? I mean, we're all parked next to each other. It's not like there's somebody racing in between there and going to hit somebody. I just think that sometimes the intention of things doesn't get translated into actual actions the correct way, and it harmfully impacts the community and the people involved. And I think this is one of those occasions. I did see on Facebook through a community page that the Hooters location up in the North Myrtle Beach area, towards North Myrtle Beach on Kings Highway, had said that they had talked to the mall there where the Bass Pro Shop is, and they said, "Hey, come down here and hang out. We got no problem with people with chairs." So a lot of people went there. Um, Now, last night, after us doing the obstacle course a whole bunch, we went to the Crooked Hammock and we had dinner, and that was good. It's actually the best meal I've had, and I just got a salad, but the salad was amazing. Um, but we enjoyed a nice dinner. The weather was perfect. We sat out by the water, and then we had the idea of going to a place called the Hangout. The Hangout is around Celebration Circle, and I'd never been there before or even heard of it. But I know that when I got there a little before everybody else. I thought, well, I'll just walk up here and just meet them by the front because all I can see the big building. There's a big sign. Started walking up to this place. Google it. See if you can see what you can find out about the Hangout. Um, right away, I heard music. There was music playing the Wobble song, and I heard a guy talking about go ahead, moms, do your thing. Go ahead and dance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he goes, okay, now, let's bring the dads out. And the dads all stood. He's like, stand up, dad, stand up, dads. And he goes, I want dads on top of the tables, and we're gonna do like this. And I there was an MC like hosting the thing, and I go walking inside. I'm like, what is going on? And next thing I know is he's got the dads on top of the tables. Every table in the room has a dad on it, and they're all doing the disco dance. And then the next thing I know is they're doing YMCA and like the whole room is doing it. And at a certain point, there was confetti and streamers and paper napkins being thrown from the second level and from the ground. I'm talking thousands and thousands of napkins just everywhere. I was like, whoa, what is happening? Um, it was the wildest thing I'd ever seen. The place is laid out very interestingly. Behind the main wall where you check in is a floor to ceiling wall of Pez dispensers. They're glued on the wall like ceiling tiles. And as you walk into the main area between the first and second level, there's a whole bunch of metal collectors' lunch boxes that are up like decorations around the room. There is a wall of TVs that looks like those ones that you see on the internet where they click together and make a big TV. There was a wall of TVs. There was college football on. There was the World Series. There was all kinds of stuff on the TVs. There is a bar the length of the room that had like the slushy machines with the different kind of boozy slushies, and it was Halloween ish. So like there's a lot of people dressed up for Halloween, including the staff. Um, we walked in. I went to use the restroom, and when I came back out, I was just amazed at the detail that everybody had done to party. All around the room on the left side was full of the Jeep ducks that were glued to the wall and to the ceiling all around the bathroom area. But mostly I was impressed at the energy of the room. I mean, you talk about coming into a place where suddenly it's a party. It was a party at the Hangout. And I think it's by design because I started walking outside where they had live music playing underneath a stage and they had all kind of outdoor furniture out there. I realized there was a TV screen to the left and they just showed like slide after slide of them doing the same thing almost every night. I'm guessing it's every night or just every night they're open, but it looked really fun. They had a foam thing off on the right-hand side where I guess they have foam parties. Yeah, it was just it was interesting. I'll definitely have to go back there with my wife and friends and hang out there again at the hangout. So I don't know. This isn't like an advertisement. They're not paying me or anything like that. This is just my little podcast talking about stuff I heard. Okay. So anyway, I had fun. I don't know if I'm gonna do the whole spend the night, 2 nights again kind of thing for that next year, or if it's just a 1 day trip or just a 1 night trip. I don't know. I have to play it by ear. Um, Myrtle Beach has got to do something different though with their whole vendor setup. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let me tell you about some stuff that I've seen on TV, and I kind of put this on Instagram a little bit to share um, what I've watched. Okay, so there's some things that are Halloween themed, in my opinion, that I watched. Agatha All Along is a series on Disney Plus. It has to do with WandaVision and the Marvel universe, and Agatha is one of those characters that was in comic books a little bit, but I didn't really read any of those. I didn't follow her at all. Even when she was on WandaVision, I was like, what? I mean, I know Catherine Hahn, but what is this character? And then the end of it was really good. The end of WandaVision was amazing because of Catherine Hahn. So they made a series around this character. And the first few episodes, I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of silly. And I thought, is this silly on purpose, kind of like they did WandaVision? And I think it is because as the show develops, it's gotten better and better. This past week, I watched episode 7. It's called Death's Hand in Mine, and it centers around a witch by the name of Lilia, I think is her name. Where's my tab? Lila, Lili, Lilia, Lilia. Yeah. Um, she has the ability to bounce through time. What I mean by that is she thinks she's scatterbrained and she thinks she's having these weird episodes and she says weird stuff from time to time. And you're like, what? It has nothing to do with anything. And she's like, what? And you're like, is she just that nuts or is she what's happening? And then you realize later she is bouncing from time to time through time itself. And you never know what she knows when she knows it because her timeline is not the same as everyone else's timeline. And I thought they did a great job of not only showing that, but she did a great job of portraying that. I'm told that the woman who plays this character was actually the Good Witch on The Wizard of Oz. I don't know if that's true or not. Somebody fact check that. Um, I'm not going to do it. This is that kind of podcast. This is the stuff I heard podcast, and I'm going to tell you, I heard that she was the Good Witch on The Wizard of Oz. So yeah, um, I'm just throwing wild stuff out there. Um, I thought this was the best episode so far. They're doing 9 episodes. The next 2 are going to be amazing. I'm sure they're gearing it up to be right around Halloween. The final one comes out. But yeah, if you haven't watched Agatha all along, check that out. All right. There's a lot of deep dive Easter egg shows out there that tell you about all the little Easter eggs. I'm not that show, but go check those out. Those are cool. All right. Now, there is an actress that I've come across because of Netflix, because of you may like this. Her name is Peyton List, and she's in a movie and a television show on Netflix that has to do with a ghost, and she plays the ghost. I first came across the movie, it was prompted up, and I had just watched something that was pretty heavy to watch. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, I need something lighter, something that's easy to watch, something I can just kind of halfway look at. And so I just turned it on to see what it was. And it said it was a rom com. It was called Girl Haunts Boy. And I was like, okay, whatever. I read the little prologue and it said that this woman had died in the 1920s, and then she haunted this house. And then a family moves in and she haunts this boy. Like the boy's the only one that can see her. And I was like, oh, this sounds kind of cute. And I watched it, and I think Rotten Tomatoes gave it like a 6.5 out of 10. And but whatever. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. Was it predictable? Yeah, kind of. But I thought, first of all, she was really good just playing the character. Like you could tell she was really acting, and there's like a star quality in some people, and Peyton has this. Like you can't take your eyes off of her. She's commanding the attention of the camera at all times. Um, the movie was kind of cool, and then I went to look her up. I was like, who is this girl? She looks familiar. She's been in a couple other things that I've seen, but she was also advertised on a show that had come on Netflix last year. And I was like, that's the same one from that advertisement. There was a show called School Spirits. Now, School Spirits apparently has been successful and is going to have a new season coming up. The premise of the show for School Spirits is um, her character apparently is dead and she is stuck in the school, and she has to meet on a regular basis with a group of other spirits that are stuck in the school, and they're all trying to figure out how to move on to the next level. Meanwhile, she's trying to figure out what happened to her because she doesn't know how she died. And I just started watching it because I was like, this is weird, but I guess I'll watch it. Sure, why not? I liked her, and I thought, yeah. So I'm watching it, and like it gets more and more progressively ominous. to the point that instead of it being just a silly little show, it got more and more almost scary till the final episode. The final episode gave us a huge shock of a holy crap moment where you're like, wait, what just happened? Like it opens it up to so much more ideas. Um, that I can't wait to see what happens next because it's good. So anyway, if you're curious about that kind of stuff and you want to watch something Halloweenish about ghosts and stuff, those are two pretty cool ones to watch. Then I watched another show on Netflix called Rebel Ridge, which kind of reminded me of Rambo. There's this guy comes to town on a bicycle. These cops are dirty. They rough him up. They take his money. He's trying to save his cousin or nephew or something, and things turn bad. And this guy has to somehow take down the cops and the dirty cops and the whole thing. And yeah, it's pretty good. The guy playing the main character is going to be a star. I think his name is something Saint Pierre, Justin Pierre, or something like that. I feel like I need to have an assistant look up stuff for you guys just so I don't screw it up. Rebel Ridge cast. Where's the button that says cast? Oh, there it is. Aaron Pierre. He is a big dude. He's supposed to be like a former Marine who's, you know, taking on the law. Don Johnson plays the bad guy in this, weirdly enough. But they kind of deal with some social issues of things that are going on right now. But the underlying current of it is it's like a PG-13 version of Rambo. So anyway, if you want to watch something like that, go check that out. Let me know what you think. I like sharing this information. I think it's pretty cool. I could be wrong, but maybe other people do too. So that's all I got. Again, this is the Stuff I Heard podcast, and I'm just trying to share stuff I heard, and hopefully it can help other people get through their day. And if you want to talk about some of this, let me know, and I appreciate it. I got my first comments on the Spotify app, which I thought was pretty cool. I hadn't gotten those on the app before, but they've come through. I even got a few on the website. If you're not aware, I've got a website, www.stuffiheard.com, and I try to put up like extra stuff on there as well. So go check it out. And if you're listening to this and you enjoyed it or you want to listen to more, keep checking it out. And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share this with your friends. And as always, cue the cow.
Cue the cow. Moo, baby.